Spud, for my unique opening this week, I want to talk about the. Remember I was saying before, as I adjust my camera, that every now and again at around 3 o'clock, something comes into the room, wakes me up, and there's a sense of, I don't know, dread or being stared at or something unpleasant. So anyway, this was continuing on for a while. But over the weekend...
He found the fucking webcam. He found the webcam.
So over the weekend, I was in my brother-in-law's in the UK, just outside Oxford. And it wasn't there. It didn't happen at all. It wasn't.
Oxford wasn't there?
Oxford doesn't exist as a place. My brother-in-law is a hologram. But it didn't happen at all in his house or whatever. And the night he came back, it immediately happened again. And so I went, oh, hold on, maybe there is actually something here. So the next night I put up some protective stuff and some other stuff around thing, and it didn't come back. Which leading me to believe that maybe there is something more to it than just me. I should probably take it. No, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's very... It definitely feels... let me see. I was going to say oppressive, but that's a bit too much. It's like, I mean, if I wanted to do something, I assume it would have done something. So it wants to be noticed. But I've kind of go like, what do you want, dude? Like,
just wants to look at you, Tommie, when you're asleep.
Just wants to look like who wants to look at this? Really? Particularly lying there.
He's looking at your missus, all right?
Yeah. Well, no, but this is the thing. The first time I had, she had it. Usually only happens when she leaves the room. So she goes into the wee man's room. That's when it happened when I came back. So it was like, and it was, but when it happened previous, when I was in the wee man's room, when he was there. So it's not just that I'm on my own. I don't. Anyway, I don't want to take too much into it because you're going down a slippery slide of there's something in my head,
paranoia and dread, and yeah.
Particularly when I have.
Well, it hasn't done anything, so maybe it's just harmless.
Yeah, I know, but like at the same time, it doesn't feel harmless. It doesn't, and it doesn't feel like it's. Like one of your relatives died, he's coming to check up on you. There's not malice, but there's something
strange though, because it's a new house. Like, you expect the haunted house to be old and have, juju left over.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, it's interesting that I did put up the protection stuff and it kind of went away. But it would too, though, if that was in my head, wouldn't it? Because now I've done something. Yeah, so
you visualised it. Yeah.
We're keeping out. I also don't want to completely banish it in case it's going like, I have the fucking lottery numbers you keep asking for. Wake up, dickhead.
Yeah. Before you go to bed, then ask, like, do you want me to put on Israel Gardy's exorcist thing? Yeah. Because I don't have to. Yeah. But like, if you're going to keep staring at me while I'm touching myself, that's freaking me out, man. I'm not into that.
Maybe it's Rupert Sheldrake doing one of his experiments, the sense of being stared at. Just randomly astral travels into people's houses who've read his book. It's a big
jump. Like he's gone from like looking at dogs that think they can tell time to sending entities into Tommie while he...
No. He's not sending an entity. He's actually...
He is the entity.
He's the entity. Next tonight, Rupert? Is that you, Rupert? I just thought that was interesting. But I suppose, it's one of those things that I try to want to take it seriously without taking it seriously, because I think I don't want to dismiss it, but I also don't it's I don't know. I don't believe it. You know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, I don't want to just... I want to know what it is. Well, if that's more it, and be open to all possibilities of it. But also, it's hard to talk to my wife about it because she's like, shut up. I don't want to know. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. It's how are you going to do it? Because presume like when she goes into the young lad, you're all tired and half asleep. You're not going to get out of bed and do like a card reading or even a pendulum with it. Because you're just like, I'm so tired.
Best I can do is throw a few pentagrams at it, and but the thing is, there's a directionality to it as well. It's at the door. I know exactly where it is. Like, and then when I was in the other room, it's just outside the door. So that's even weird. That.
Outside his bedroom door?
Yeah, kind of looking in. Yeah. So maybe, I don't know, I should do something now. I should do like a spirit box or something in the... Because, no, what if it says, oh, death to everyone, and oh...
Well, then it's just a cranky spirit, and you have to kind of guide it into the light and, off with you. But look, I'm not here to sort out your shit.
Yeah, I'll do something. It'll be interesting. But just thought that was like, as soon as I came home, I go, back to this shite. Awesome, things looking at me. Yeah. But other than that, Oxford was cool. Got to hang out in the forest. Seen the oldest tree in Oxford Forest. 500 years old. Very cool. Seen a couple of squirrels.
Nice.
What could you want of a weekend?
Well,
really?
yeah. We saw it. There was a squirrel this morning in our garden. He's eating our raspberries, which is good because we have far too fucking many. So fair play to him.
What?
But the only thing is that he obviously shits them out, and we have
more than
We have so many fucking raspberries this year that no one planted. We're like, where the fuck they come? Obviously, it was the birds and the squirrels shitting out the seeds, but it's like we've far too many. They're after covering over the roses and all this stuff.
And is it like a bramble then? It's thorny kind of thing. Is it raspberry bush? I don't really know.
No, they're only thorny at the where they shoot out of the ground. That's all.
Right.
They're fine. The leaves are fine. But like the kids come home and they're just like, it's great. But like the garden doesn't. Me roses, you know.
What about making jam or something with it? Or?
No, they don't last that long. Like they're just eating.
I don't know.
No. My house isn't a house of delayed gratification. No, can't be. We know we should do that. But then when there's a full box of raspberries put in front of,
I'd rather eat them. Yeah.
4 Murphys, they're gone. You know. I was watching this good thing on Netflix. It's nothing to do with woo. It's just good crack. It's called Clark. It's this Swedish thing about a bank robber, and it's great. He's an arsehole, but you end up really liking him.
Right.
But then you then you stop liking him, and then you start liking him. But it's filmed brilliantly, man. It's really, really good. It's really, really good. There's lots of jumping around and kind of makes fun of itself for being what it is, kind of stuff.
All right.
Breaks the fourth wall a bit, and it's good. It's really good. It's good crack, you know.
I've been watching a few things. The new season of Westworld's awesome.
Oh yeah. I'll wait till
it kind of crept up out of nowhere because I remember a couple of weeks ago, I wonder if they're going to make a season 4 of Westworld, and I googled it and I was it starts next Thursday or whatever. I was like, all right, great.
Sound. I did that. You should say that. That was me. I magicked that.
Yeah, really enjoying it. They've really stepped up the Gnosticism.
Where does it start? Where the last one ended? Because I thought when the last one ended, like, well, they can't really come back from that now because he woke up like 5 years in the future or some shit like that.
It starts 5 years in the future, pretty much. Yeah, slightly. I really should have gone back and watched what happened up to now because if I'm about 80%, I know what it is, and every now and again I go, what?
Is Blondie still in it?
Yeah, not as much though, but she's there, and spoilers for everyone. Fast forward this, she doesn't know who she is, so. Or at least pretending. It's hard to know. Really good. There's some. It is
really good. Westworld's really, really cool.
I know. The second season I didn't love as much. I found it got a bit weird. But the samurai episode in the second season is brilliant. And then people didn't like the third season at all. I really enjoyed the third season.
Yeah, I thought the third one was good. Yeah. No, I really like it. It's a really good show. But it's kind of cowboys and robots. Like, how can you not like it? I was watching the. I got through the Mandalorian and the Boba Fett stuff there.
Oh, right.
Recently. Good. It's really good, yeah. Mandalorian's really good. Boba Fett's not great. The last couple of episodes are good. There's just a lot of too many flashbacks, and Jesus Christ, Disney loved their montages. Holy fuck. Every episode of the Mandalorian must have 3 or 4 montages. Like, come on, lads. Come on, you don't need all this. You can just tell us. I went off and I trained. Yeah, we don't need to see all the fucking incremental steps of the training. It's fine. We're not idiots.
I blame Rocky. He's the cause of all this. I watched Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's the only one I've seen out of the stuff.
Right, yeah, I almost watched that as well. But I put off watching it for a long time because I was like, actually, I'm too old for this. It's not my. I'm really not the target market anymore. Because like I think of these things now in kind of like a Marvel universe kind of thing. It's like it's the A team of our generation. It's just it's you've 2 guys shooting at each other 2 meters away from each other. Got 50 rounds of bullets gone and they all miss and everyone's alive. And it's like it's nonsense.
Yeah.
But no, I suppose I like the morality and stuff like that of it. It's decent show.
I've never been in Star Wars. I don't hate it or anything. If it's fine, like it. But I think I've only seen Return of the Jedi once, which I'm fine with because it's not great. The Ewok stuff is like whatever. This is a toy grab. But it's hard to find a TV show to watch.
But they're just westerns in space. That's all they are.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like The Mandalorian is True Grit. If you've seen True Grit, you've seen The Mandalorian.
Right, same thing.
That's it.
It's the reason I put it on and it was even probably not that suitable was because it's very hard to find a TV program to watch when the wee man's about, because as soon as, if you're watching something like, I don't know, Evil or something like that, and there's a demon just turns up, he could be doing nothing. He could be the other side of the room, and then all of a sudden demon comes out and he goes, what's that? So it's just finding something that's half interesting that you can have on that, even if you, if someone rings you or whatever and you come back 10 minutes later, you don't care. It's just Star Wars.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah. I guess
that's fine. It's like same. We watch a bit of Shetland. Shetland's good. I'm a big fan of Shetland. It's a detective story set in Scotland.
How many people can get killed on the Shetland Islands? Come on, it's one of them, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like Cabot Cove all over the place. But I'd say about any of those things, unless they're a travelling detective, but then that brings up kind of stuff like, why are you always travelling and then someone dies? It should always be the suspect.
I remember one of our first days in college, the lecturer was kind of like, like so much of our media is based on crime, and he's talking about obviously the news is just crime all the time. But he's like, how many of you guys watch? Oh Jesus! It was around the time of Matthew McConaughey was in that thing.
True Detective.
Weirdo. True Detective. I think that's the one he referenced. How many of us watched that? Everyone, hands up, yeah. And he's like, it's crime and murder, isn't it? And he says, you look at how many Irish shows we've had over the years. There's one on now, and he gave the name. And it's another cop drama. There's so many cop dramas, aren't there? And he says, anyone in the room actually know a cop? And I was the only one to put up my hand. He says, I was I have a cousin and a friend. And he's like, okay, there's no one else. And he says, this is the same with the media. It has this obsession with crime when it doesn't really affect most of us. And he says that's something that you need to be careful of.
I think people like procedural stuff like that is because it's, number one, they like the kind of the layout and they can understand it. They like guessing who the bad guy is. But I think it's also they like the good guys to win. So it makes you feel safer that, oh no, we can watch this cop show where I know the bad guy is going to get done at the end. And it's kind of escape.
Better when they don't, because it takes an awful long time for the baddies. Like, look at, say, I don't know, Daniel Kinahan or something. Still haven't caught him.
Yeah.
He's off in Dubai, Okay, they've ruined his business, but they've ruined his business thanks to his association with boxing. He was running these fights with the biggest guys, Tyson Fury and the English chap. I can't think of his name. Doesn't matter. They were supposed to have the biggest fight in the world ever
right.
soon. Yeah. And the Yanks, I think through pressure from Ireland, the Yanks said, right, yeah, we're closing this guy down. And just Pablo Escobar them, basically. Took all his businesses, took all his money, or anything that's not based in Dubai.
Yeah.
And, it's mad, they took a whole boxing federation from him. You know what I mean? That's like the guy who owns UEFA, wakes up the next day, and it's gone.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah,
that's why UEFA is a charity. No one actually
really?
owns. Yeah. UEFA and FIFA are charities, so they are.
FIFA is a charity.
Yeah. Not mad, isn't it? I mean, no, I get it because all the money that they raise through the World Cups is distributed between all of the associations. All
right, but they're not charities then. I assume they're for profit, then, are they?
I'm not too sure. As far as I know,
the FAI a charity?
No, they couldn't be a for-profit thing. No. No, it can't be.
I don't know.
That's why so much money goes missing in them.
I wonder, why there's cop shows are definitely the thing that is the most things made, and I suppose second maybe would be hospital dramas.
Oh God!
Yeah, like your ERs and your all of that kind of stuff. But
Scrubs was the last good one, huh?
Yeah, I'm sure there's been a couple of. Depending on who you are, Grey's Anatomy might have been the last good one. It certainly wasn't for me.
I don't know anyone who likes Grey's Anatomy.
Well, I know one person who liked at least 4 or 5 seasons of it. Was married to. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about it. It's voyeurism as well, isn't it? Though, it's
of course it is. Yeah. Exactly.
And it's something that I guess you can. in some way fantasize about it actually being true, whereas you can't really fantasize about being in space, because that's never going to happen to you. But you might decide to become a policeman at some point, or work in a hospital, or it's something
you might get
could have done.
murdered. No?
Yeah, you might be involved in something horrific. In fact, it's probably guaranteed at some point this will be some tragedy will befall you. Welcome to Tommie's positive corner.
I had a breakthrough on my maybe
penis enlargement factory.
Synchronicity. No, I'll tell you now. Yeah. I had a breakthrough on my Satan dream that I've been talking about again recently. Yeah. So I've been watching because we're going to talk about synchronicity later. I've been watching a good bit of Bernardo. Why can't I say it? Brendan Castro. He's a legend. I love that man. Bernard Ketchup. He's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But most of you probably know my girl for him anyway. And he was explaining Carl Jung's book of Job, and saying that
the Book of Jobs.
Book of Job, Book of Job, whatever you want to call it. So make this short as I can. Basically, God needed Satan, needed the devil, because God is unconscious and doesn't have self-reflection. And by the devil gifting Adam and Eve, or tempting them with this fruit from the tree of knowledge, that caused the fall. That they saw themselves naked for the first time, even though they were naked before. So by eating this apple, they had self-reflection. And so he basically goes into this is one of the videos, I think I shared it on Discord, and he's saying, look, this is the point of the devil. The devil calls you on your bullshit. That's what he does.
Okay.
And it's like, fuck it. Well, and this is coming from what Carl Jung was saying about devil was needed because he's needed for self-reflection.
Yeah.
So if I put that into the context of my dream, and he raises up out of the fucking chasms of the earth, and he's there, fucking a big shiny demon there. Let me get the fuck away from me. I don't want to deal with my bullshit.
Yeah.
So fast forward a couple of months, or from that dream to a couple of months to when I was doing one of my angel things, and I was working with an angel to try and speed up the. It sounds so lame, doesn't it? So I want to do a cheat code, basically. We'll put it in a gamer term. I want to do a cheat code. I wanted to speed up the awakening process, right?
Up, down, left, right, A, and start.
Up, down, left, right, A, B, C, D. Ooh, full ammo. Woo! And so I'm trying to speed it up. And I did speak to you about this before, that I got my ass kicked by this angel, saying it was just like, no, you hate yourself still. No, you're not ready for this at all. You know what I mean? So by trying to cheat it just punched me in the face and you're not ready at all. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing as this Satan dream. It's like you need to confront your bullshit first. And it's like, cool. You know?
Yeah.
There was another thing as well, how I can link it. This one is quite bizarre. Yesterday, it was yesterday, the day before. Must have been yesterday. I lay down to meditate for about half an hour. And usually I'm quite good at not getting distracted by that and I see, unless there's it's a big event and it just rolls and rolls and rolls. But yesterday, there was this cat. And this white cat. It was kind of like a lynx, but it was a white. Well, a lynx is a cat, but it had this appearance of a cat, and he had kind of black trim. His ears were kind of black. His nose, around his nose, was a bit black.
Yeah.
And so for about an hour or two after that, I was, what the fuck's the cat mean? I don't know what a cat means. It's curiosity. It's independence. It's da-da-da. And I was like, what the fuck? It's not really fitting with that. And
asshole.
so I forgot about it. All right, asshole. So I forgot about it for a while. And then later in the day, Aga said to me that while I'm going away, she's going to bring the kids down to one of the shelters. They do a thing every few weeks where they open the cages basically, and you go in and you play with the cats, whatever. And oh, a cat, okay. I was like, don't bring a cat home. Just like, I like cats, but like, we're not here enough for a cat. We'd have to bring it everywhere, you know? And no, okay. That can't be it. That's not what this pointing at. So then I'm sitting watching that interview with Bernardo Kastrup.
Well done. I'm proud of you.
Said it properly. And just as he's talking about why the archetypes are so important to synchronicity, something moves in front of the screen.
Right.
And he says, oh, I'm sorry about that. That was the cat. I was like, oh. Right? And next thing, the cat turns around and you see his face. And it's white and black. And I'm like, ah! That's what it is. It's like, fucking hell. It's like, oh, that's the premonition thing. I don't get them.
Right.
That doesn't happen at all.
Last week, and anything you talk about in the podcast comes true.
Money for Tommie. Money for Tommie.
Yeah, money for Spud. Money for everyone.
But more for Spud.
Yeah. Let's go back to the Carl Jung thing about Satan as well. When saying that in answer to Jobbies. In Ion, he talks about the reason why that Satan had to emerge from Christianity or from the Jewish kind of thing is because they removed evil from God and that had nowhere else to go. So it was it's that same thing that it was only looking, if you're only looking at the good or whatever, and clearly if you look around, there's more than just that. That what happens is that, you know, it's the neurosis or the kind of antichrist or whatever has to appear because that has to be somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
And if you don't allow it within God or within consciousness or whatever you want to call it, then it's going to emerge. And that's a good kind of view of like essentially how the shadow then comes out, because as you were saying, is if you're not looking at your bullshit, you're pretending it's not there. I'm a great person. I've nothing to worry about or work on. Or it's other people's fault, whatever. And there's like this coming up behind you until like that's it. You know, it's like, well, I was going to say until it comes to the point that you have to look at it, but of course there's any amount of people who never look at it, you know. But,
of course.
Yeah. So I would say, that seems good that you know, I would, as if it matters. I agreed that was what it's definitely pointing on.
Yeah.
But, rather than, you know, the embodiment of, say, evil itself, which also is what he represents, but it's more in its adversarial role, I suppose. Well, I suppose it could be secretly saying, you know, you have to look at the evil within you, you know, into that. I've not mentioned his name, who constantly bangs on about the fact that if you were around in 1939 Germany, there's a huge chance you would be a Nazi. Because that's just, you know, that's how it is. That you would like to think
you too could be a conservative voter.
Yeah, you know, it's you know, it depends on, you know, to kind of think that you would never have that in you is false. Because you know, you would like to think, and let's act in ways that we don't act in that kind of stuff. But to suggest that I think it's more to suggest that there's something inherently evil about people doing these things that you don't have in you, that you don't have the potentiality for that. Is you do, of course you do, you know. But still, you know, there is those photos that you see the one guy who doesn't do the salute and all, you know. So there is time and space that it's not saying that every single person would be. But it's that thing. Did you watch Hareesh's video about free will and all of that I posted yesterday? It doesn't really matter if you did or not.
Do you know, I tried to listen to him and I like him, but do you know what it is? Years and years ago, when I used to demolish podcasts, I used to listen to that really annoying podcast. And I don't know why. It was really used to annoy me. I think maybe that's why I listened to it, just to annoy myself. I used to listen to This American Life. I presume you know it.
Yeah,
NPR, yeah? Ira Glass. And they did this fucking podcast about something called vocal fry. You know what vocal fry is?
Nope.
So vocal fry is how a lot of Americans in the media talk. And so what they do is they start a sentence and then they talk up at the start of it, and then at the end of it, then it all kind of trails off like that. Mm-hmm. Right? And then Ira is like, yeah, oh my God, I just realized that I do that as well. I trail off as I finish my sentences. He does it.
Constantly.
He does it, and it kills me. And it just like, stop it. Talk like a person. Stop being a robot.
Talk like a person.
Kardashians, like the Kardashians.
Don't
like,
be a robot, just be a person.
Who the fuck talks like that?
Yeah, news readers in Ireland do it as well.
Oh,
you hear it a lot in kind of amateur, that's probably not the best word, audiobook. Not really good audiobook narrators do it as well. It's the same type of thing. But the inflection of going up, it's I don't like it. I hear people, a lot of people in real life do it as well.
Yeah,
and it's definitely
because
an
they picked it
influence
up.
from.
They picked it up from American celebrities and whatnot, and that's obviously where he's picked it up too. Or else there is some kind of media training that is going on that is telling people to talk like this, which is just awful.
Yeah, because I know
my
going up at the end is that you're asking a question, and if you're constantly asking a question, like
no, but it's that it goes up at the start and then it at the end it trails off, and but like, you know what? But I blame the podcast for it, because otherwise I probably would never have noticed it. But ever since the podcast, now I notice it all the time, and I can't.
Thanks, because now I won't be able to listen to Hareesh now.
I know. I'm sorry. I ruined it for everyone now.
Anyway,
but it's his fault.
It is his fault. Yeah, just read it. Read his books.
Yeah. No, I like him. You know what? I got through about 15, 18 minutes of it, and I can't disagree with that. There,
it's definitely he's been listening to Sam Harris. That's the thing that came out to clear to me, because it's pretty much Sam Harris's argument.
Sam Harris is a materialist, though, isn't he?
Yeah, but he doesn't believe in free will and in that kind of thing. It's the same. He believes Sam Harris is a somewhat materialist. He still believes in awakening and some sort of greater human thing or something, or at least he does.
Oh, is he doing a Carl Jung on us? Is he? Is he pretending to be a materialist?
No. Well, you see. No, because he's very vehemently opposed to an awful lot of things that Carl Jung definitely wasn't. No, there's that. You ever see The Four Horsemen, where it's him, Daniel Dennett, Christopher Hitchens, and Richard Dawkins, and around the table just being really pompous and arrogant, very atheist in the real thing. I have a huge likeness for Christopher Hitchens just because he's a great debater, great mind, and he's like
brilliant.
But I can listen to him all day, but I don't necessarily agree with it at all. But there's a point where he says where he says that he has to separate himself from the way everyone else thinks, because he does allow for this other thing that none of the other people do. So he is open to these, or at least it says he is. But why are we talking about free will anyhow? Where did that come from?
You asked me, did I listen? Then I'm sorry, I went on a rant.
Yeah, but it was whatever you were saying, something about free will, whatever. Oh yeah, it was just probably about the whole idea of that coming from shadow work or whatever, and that if you're going to be, the Nazi or whatever it is, whatever, but that looking back, that is always going to be the decision you're always going to take. There's never not going to be a decision that you can't. That's the kind of illusion of free will that they're saying, if you prescribe to this notion, and that is you always take the best decision. And best doesn't necessarily mean the best thing for now, this week, next week, but the thing that seems the best next step to ease pain and increase and it's the best.
It's the best based on all your biases and biology and physiology and environmental factors and all that kind of stuff.
But he makes a good point where he's saying that you can go. Decisions you've made, every decision you've made now, if you go back, not go back in time, but there's no, because that's time travel, he makes a distinction with that, which is a different thing. Because if you go back with the knowledge that you have now, then you definitely will change some of your decisions. But being that you don't have that knowledge, you are always going to make those mistakes. You're always, every single time. And which is in one way is it's a relief, because you can go, well, you can't regret something that was always going to be the case, that there was no other way it can be. Now you can move forward from that point of view and kind of, right, I can try not to be like that in the future and learn from these things. But those big fuck ups or whatever, that's just how it is. And there is a bit then that goes into that it kind of makes everyone blameless, and you can kind of excuse behaviour and you can excuse things because you can go, oh, well, it's just the sum total of everything I am and all that. But it isn't good, because that's the problem then, right? If there's no such thing as free will, how can we put people in prisons? How can we start punishing these people? That we're always going to do that. This is this natural expression of who they are, or, and it's like...
Or what's the point in, even trying to enlighten yourself, awaken yourself?
Yeah, and I suppose Hareesh's point is that you can, that it is both those type of things. But it's an interesting kind of because it goes back to that Peter Kingsley thing.
I think that's where you should start the conversation. Is like, right, we'll get to all this, but you can work on it.
Yeah.
This is how you work on it.
Yeah. It's like the Peter Kingsley thing in Reality, where he talks about, you think that, you know, you've made all your decisions, and of course you haven't. And, you know, I think it's pointing somewhere around that, although it's hard to know what that's a very...
I don't know. It seems with me with Kingsley, he's always pointing at a predestination, which I don't.
It does seem to be, yeah.
Yeah, I don't buy that at all. Like,
but also at the same time saying we fucked it up. So I don't understand how you can have, unless the fuck up is the predestination.
But you know, like you said, he's the trickster. He's different than the rest of the girls. You know, he knows. He just won't talk, and he's happy to write books and hint at what he knows, but he'll never tell you. It's. Predestination I just don't buy, because I buy into the idea that the universe, God, isn't conscious and doesn't have self-reflection.
Yeah.
You know?
We'll come back to this, put a pin in that, because there is an interesting thing that Jung talks about that in regards to synchronicity. Right. Irish lessons. Let's do it. This week, what I want to teach you is how to say, can I go to the toilet? Like we were all drilled into when we were in primary school. And it's leithreas is toilet, which is there's a kind of a lettuce quality to leithreas, isn't it? Because it's kind of as if you said lettuce properly or incorrectly. So cead agam dulgaji on leithreas. There was a kind of close second, which was on cead agam dul amach, which is kind of go outside, because toilets were outside.
Yeah.
And it was like you went out to the porta potty type thing. When we were in primary school, excuse me, my first classroom was the prefabs. I assume that was a lot of people's experience, and then eventually the school was kind of built as I got older. So we would have, you know, the toilet would have been outside, but when the actual school was built, there would have been toilets in the classroom. Was toilets in your classroom at any stage?
In mine, yeah. In mine, yeah. In primary school, secondary school, no.
Secondary school, no, yeah, because I went to the Marist, so. It essentially means, cead agam dulgaji in leithreas means, have I permission to go to the toilet? The answer is yes, but you're not going.
Yeah.
Or can I go to the toilet? Kind of the dull and mock just means go outside. There's one other thing I wanted to ask about, or mention on it. Yeah, so you could use for different things. Cead agam dulgaji on parade. Can I go to the parade? So yeah, cead agam dulgaji. Can I go to dulgaji to? So yeah, I suppose you get what you. There's always the kind of thing of bhfuil and leithreas. Where is the toilet?
Yeah, bhfuil. Yeah, you might
bhfuil.
need that one actually.
Yeah.
Where is the toilet?
Where is the toilet? Can I go to the toilet? Where is it? So yeah, they're probably more useful for people who actually want to speak Irish would be bhfuil and leithreas, rather than asking permission of someone on the street. Have I permission to go to the toilet, please?
You can say bhfuil and bog as well.
Oh yeah.
We used to say that in Irish school. Bhfuil and bog. Like
bog.
Yeah. Because in Irish slang, we say bog for the toilet. Right,
Irish fact. I have a good one this week, and I'm not going to be able to pronounce it, even though I was practicing. The longest town name in Ireland is Muckanaghederdauhaulia. Muckanaghederdauhaulia.
What?
Muckanaghederdauhaulia.
Spell that.
Muckanaghederdauhaulia. 22 letters of gloriousness. And it translates roughly as a pig marsh between two sea inlets.
Yeah, muck is pig, is plural for pig, you know.
Muckanaghederdauhaulia.
That's a mad word.
Yeah.
I nearly got it.
Yeah.
Muckanaghederdauhaulia.
That's it, yeah.
That's not too bad.
Muckanaghederdauhaulia. Now, it's 22 letters, and I've often thought that it's the longest name in the world for any townland, until people started talking to Welsh people, and then that changed. And it's 20 letters, but it's definitely the longest well, according to Wikipedia, it's the longest name in Ireland. And it's in Galway. It's in the townland in the civil parish of Kilcommon in County Galway.
I'm just looking up something here to make sure it's true.
Say it anyway, it doesn't matter. It's true.
Yeah, okay. St. Nicholas, Santa Claus, is buried in Jerpoint Park in Thomastown in Kilkenny. I don't know how he got there. I don't know how the hell a Turkish bishop got there, but fair play to him.
And is there relics? Can we go and see Santa's hat or his sack or his beard?
St. Thomas, St. Nicholas's tomb is there, along with the remains of a lost medieval town. That's a funny one. We had these class names in secondary school. Did you have this?
No, we had boring names like 3C, 4C, 4D,
we had one.
4E.
I was in. So this is in Jerpoint Park. The name of my class was Jerpoint. That's weird.
Synchronicity.
I don't know. I'm kind of reaching. Maybe. Oh. I don't think it's true though. It says somewhere else as well though. Gives you the coordinates and everything. St. Nicholas is Myra.
Is there more than one Nicholas who did 2 miracles?
But there wouldn't be more than one Saint Nicholas though, surely, would there?
Well, there's a couple of Cyprians. There's a couple of St. Joseph's, is it? Or St. Mary's? There's a couple of... It has to be. I mean, they can't just... Oh, no, sorry, Trevor. We already have a Trevor.
No, but it
doesn't matter what you've done. Yeah.
Nicholas of Myra, also known as Nicholas of Bari. Of Greek descent, not Turkish. Asia Minor, okay, so somewhere in modern day Turkey. Yeah, that's St. Nicholas. That's him. He's in Ireland. That's fucking nuts. What the fuck is he doing there? St. Valentine is in Ireland as well, isn't he?
Right. I think we can claim everything. Yeah. No, he's in Waterford, that fella.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Why has there never been an Irish Pope? Because we keep giving them good saints to shut them up. Okay, yeah. I can buy that.
Yeah. Can you imagine an Irish Pope? Oh, that's all we need. Sorry, we're going
Pints.
Back. Yeah. 300 years, and we're going to go back in time to what the Catholic Church was pre the Reformation. So foundational pillars, magic thing. I think I said last week 4 or 5 and it's wrong. So this is probably number 11. It's definitely 6 or 7.
23.
We're going to do synchronicity. Synchronicity is an interesting one because it's another one of those things that people in magic and occult talk about all the time and kind of get wrong, I feel, or at least...
Whoa. People in the occult get things wrong.
It's unheard of. I know. I'm pushing the boat out here and maybe excommunicating myself by alleging something even remotely similar to that. But in that, number 1, they get confused between a coincidence and a synchronicity or serendipity. And 2, they just think everything's a sync. You know, like everything's synchronicity when it's not. But the problem with these things, of course, is that you can't, by definition, judge someone else's synchronicity because you're missing half the picture. And by that I mean the definition of synchronicity is an acausal relationship between something inner and something out. Do you want to give?
I can give you 2. I have 2 highlighted here in the book. So synchronicity, the simultaneous occurrence of a certain psychic state with one or more external events which appear as meaningful parallels to the momentary subjective state. So basically, yeah, it's a meaningful coincidence. Let me get the other one here now. Synchronicity could be understood as an ordering system by means of which similar things coincide without there being any apparent cause.
Yes, it's definitely the acausal thing. But the reason I'm saying why you can't judge someone else's is because the meaningful element of it, which is the important bit, that it has some sort of meaning to you, only is really meaningful to the person that it's happening to. So when the thing what I had with, say, something like Helia, where it's just going like the really go, oh, these are all synchronicities, and I'm kind of going, no, they're not though. And I just kind of realised in the second kind of viewing of it, and I think I mentioned it in the podcast, because that's I can't judge that because it's for them, it's not for me. It's the same as like when we talk about anyone's synchronicities, where you can kind of go, oh, all right, so the bird was there, and then there was whatever, you know, or even say, let's say your cat one, which is a pretty good one, but you can kind of go, yeah, but you've watched loads of videos with Bernard catch up, you know he is a cat or whatever, you know, but it's like it's putting a rational spin on it, and the whole point of it is there's no rationality to it. It's literally Jung is saying it's outside of this. It's how he proved that the paranormal existed, and it would not prove, but how he suggested the paranormal existed was one of his proofs for it, in that it lies outside of that. And it's the meaning it has for you is the important bit, in that there's something inside is being reflected on the outside in an a-causal way. There's nothing that can cause that to happen. And that's his point, that it lies outside of that thing. So for me to kind of go, yeah, Spud, a cat, yeah. Who cares? Who cares what I think? In that situation, because it's irrelevant what other people think.
On the causal thing, right?
Having still said that, I think people do... They'll confuse coincidences, because you're going, is there a personal meaningful thing happen to it? And people, what, and I have that as well, because my experience with syncs, but they don't go anywhere. That's because is it something that's actually personally meaningful that you're having this, or is it just going, oh, look, a cat and another cat? Oh, it's changed the matrix. Yeah.
Well, I don't think, I'm not too sure if they are meant to always mean something. I think it's just the underlying somethingness that runs the universe just shows itself, and it shows itself all the time because we're fucking alive. You know what I mean? That's that's the first one. Like, we're actually here and we can see it. But then seeing these synchronicities and coincidences as synchronicities, I think it's just the universe winking back at you. And I don't think that it's to show you that you're on the right path or keep going. Keep going to the left because you like the sign that pointed left rather than the one with the pitchforks that point to the right, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But his thing with, like, I didn't get this until I dived into the Jung and Kastrup stuff over the last few days, that synchronicity doesn't work without the archetypes. No, sorry, I was talking about cause and effect there, wasn't I?
Yeah. You were going to say you were going to talk about the causal stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so Jung's thing was that, a cause is actually a symptom.
Okay.
And it's the symptom of the archetype and the greater psych universe happening. Not making it happen, just happening. And so where we see a cause, that's just that underlying psych universe doing what it does.
But define what you mean by cause, because he says that there is causal, so that there's no cause for it.
Well, no, I'm talking in like a cause and effect thing. So, like, I fell under a car because my wife pushed me. Yeah.
It's strictly the materialist view of the world, that if we have enough data, we can predict anything.
Exactly.
Because we know A always leads to B, or whatever.
Exactly. So it's this thing of cause and effect. Cool. Like, we need that to live, but they're not really what we think they are. It's a polarity thing. You can't have one without the other. It's yin and yang.
Yeah.
But what they are really is, so the cause and both the effect are products of the underlying or structure. Overlying even structure of the universe that we just don't fucking know. And this is where then the archetypes have to come in, because the archetypes are the templates. They're formless, but they're templates for what happens, and it's without them, we need them for a synchronicity to work, because when a synchronicity makes itself known or manifests, or you notice it, what that is, it's an archetype that you can only figure out presenting itself.
Yeah, and his big kind of one that he talks about, there's two events. One is about fish, which is suspect. Even he thinks it's a bit suspect.
Yeah.
And the other one is the beetle. That he has someone some woman lying down in his office. It's okay. He's a therapist. It's not something weird. And she's talking about the dream or whatever. And she talks. It's the beetle, the scarab, the Egyptian thing, whatever. And then he immediately knows that if he looks out the window, there's one there. And so he goes get it and pulls it in and goes, there's your thing. There it is there. And so he's looking at that as going, clearly the dream isn't causing the beetle to be on his window. And clearly the beetle on the window can't have caused the dream previously. But yet here it is at exactly the right time, being very meaningful, and is well, I was going to say pointing at something. Let's not say that. We don't know what, it's just, there's something meaningful happening, something is unfolding, something that is kind of happening, and he's saying it's a causal because nothing has caused it. But yeah, there it is. So you have to look for something outside it. One of
the way I kind of see it now after watching these couple of videos and reading a good bit on it, it's kind of like what's outside of us is just this massive, giant web of possibilities. And when a synchronicity happens, it's a bit like putting a key into a lock. And, you know, you need, 5, 6, 7... The bumps have to go up.
Yeah.
And so when a synchronicity happens, it's just a key has gone in and then do. 3 or 4 things can kind of happen in short succession. Or it can just be 2 or whatever it is. But that's kind of the way I like to think of it now.
He does suggest too, and this comes up in Anthony Peake's book as well, but he has a different reason. Anthony Peake, there's always one of those things that it grinds my gears when people in a book to talk about, say, Carl Jung, whatever, and then they go, but what Carl Jung got wrong, I'm going, hold on a minute. Yeah, it's like, who are you to say what Carl Jung got wrong? But it's funny, I'm reading the A Course in Miracles. I'm reading it's a different version of it. It's the original kind of version of it, whatever. And there's loads talking about Freud and Jung in it and stuff like that, and Edward Casey as well. Which we must do something on Casey. He's really interesting. Jesus, or the Christ, whoever it is who wrote the book, in the middle of it goes, but what Freud got wrong. And I go, good man, Jesus, you get in on the act. And then he does it, and Carl Jung, hold on, Jesus, hold on. But anyway, Anthony Peake talks about as well that what synchronicities are, and Jung does have a mention of this, and he does kind of say it as a possibility. It's almost, which come back to what we were saying about the Kingsley thing and the predestination, is that there's a sense that all of this has already happened. And that's how synchronicity is able, because it's a bit like, I suppose, like a deja vu, but it's not. But, you know, it's something acting in the same kind of way that if all of this is already played out, then it's a revealing of that in the same way that the deja vu is. Yeah. Which, okay, but Peake's then kind of idea is because we're all within our, we're all dying and this is our life flashing before our eyes, which it's a nice idea, but whose life? Whose mind are we in when this is happening? Mine?
Yeah. We're always dying anyway. So
yeah, that means that you don't exist. But from your point of view, that means I wouldn't exist. So, and if it means it's all happening in everyone's mind at the same time, doesn't that kind of negate the whole reasoning? Yeah. Anyway, it just doesn't work for me. I'm sure he has an answer.
I don't think Jung would have gone for that, because Jung's thing was so adamant about was, God isn't conscious. God doesn't have reflection. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, but just to finish that talk, because I do want to talk about that, is that it's like, if time doesn't exist in reality, then this already has happened. Not that because it's an instant, it's a thing that's, outside time, and we can't really fathom that unless you're, really getting into the Magia underworld practice or something like that, or something, your brain just goes, ha. But even then, I've never really fully felt the timeless form in the way that I have had a non-dual experience, but there's still time element in something that, anyway, besides the point. So,
well, you know what? Time's easy to get rid of if you just
take off your watch.
No, just if you just convince yourself. Okay, this is what I've done. Time isn't real because we base our time on our sun, but our sun goes around something, which goes around something, which goes around something. That's the time we're actually on. We're on sun time. Fuck the sun.
Yeah, but that's just relative time, though. That's not actual time. That's just that's still within time. There's a thing in the Course of Miracles. There's a daily thing as well, where it's the first bit is all about trying to get yourself out of this, and it says all you ever see is the past, or all you ever experience is the past or anticipation for the future. You're never actually here now. So it's that I can definitely see something in that, but I get probably what you're saying in a year's time when I've suddenly discovered the experience of time not existing. I'll go, oh yeah, remember you were on about the sun thing? Yeah, I understand. But from outside that, it just still seems more relevant. Anyway, so that's one of the things that it could be not that it's predetermined, it's already happened and you're just playing out. And I've had experience of feeling that, but in a really negative way, where it feels like I'm watching my life as if I'm watching it. It's already everyone has already died, and it's really horrifying. It's horrible. That's the neurosis version of that. I think that's the shit version of it, where you're kind of seeing it through it, but in a really shit way. Right. You're getting it wrong. It's like that idea Alan Chapman says. It's like the sense of the truth that you get is the shit version. A lot of people get stuck there, but anyway, but come back to the unconsciousness and God being unconscious. It's the self-reflecting thing. And when he talks about it, it's really well explained in that Bernardo Kastrup book, where he's talking about how the unconscious part of your brain and the conscious part of your brain is a reflection of then, the microcosm and the macrocosm, where you have the collective unconscious and the whatever reality. And the difference between your unconscious part of your brain and your conscious part of your brain is you have an ability to self-reflect in the conscious part of your brain, whereas you don't in the unconscious part of your brain. Mm-hmm. So then go back to the Job thing, where you're saying, well, if God is the divinity, the unconscious, it doesn't have a means to self-reflect. So it needs to create the consciousness, which is either Job or Satan or both or whatever it is, in order to self-reflect. And that's where the growth kind of happens. And I think that's brilliant because and it's kind of like saying in a sense that if you can look at yourself and you say like, well, this idea of say complexes that he has, that which are roles or shadows or whatever's the word you want to call it, those things, that in a sense that we're a complex of God, that we're a kind of a thing that, not that you got it wrong, but that it's in the same way that a role or a shadow is to you, we are to God. And it's kind of, that makes sense. And it's just part of, when you recognize, go, yeah, right, yeah, okay, here we are. that
makes sense to me. It's kind of like, there's someone up there, or maybe this is what your HCA does. It's kind of just, gets, it's like he's a barman, works in a pub and put in some vermouth, some gin, probably likes whiskey, beer on top. Bit of depression. Let's see how this motherfucker gets on in Ireland. And that's it, then you're born.
It's like a bit of depression, bit of mammy issues.
I think that's what it is, man. I do. I've come to believe that as well, that we're out there, and then all these different characteristics and issues or whatever are just put together, and we're just thrown at the earth. Right, go on, figure it out there for yourself.
Yeah, there is
very few of us do.
Well, that's the kind of thing of that you're making a concerted effort to do that, to sort this out, and in Regia terms, that's been a lamp. That you've made that effort to do that, and to be then the illumination, around you. It sounds a bit. I don't know. It's you can talk about this stuff and it gets really into very crappy new age things, and you kind of go,
talking like a guru.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that, but it's the shit. That's the shit version of it, and then there's obviously a better version of it. But it's making a conscious decision, which is what Hareesh was talking about. The Notorious. That's better. The Notorious Chris Wallace. That even if all of this, your best kind of thing, you did always made the decision that was the only decision that is the decision you could have made at that point. All of that. At this point now, you can still work on yourself. You can still decide that, okay, and that becomes your best decision or whatever. And it's that notion, I'm getting off the topic slightly, and I apologise, but it's the notion of where you have the difference between your destiny or your fate, and I suppose that's kind of like your potentiality, but what actually happens. And a good kind of example I've thought around recently is that someone wants to be a rock star, wants to be the best guitar player, the best singer in the world, and to go towards that. That's their destiny, that they could be the greatest singer in the world. But what happens without the kind of working on yourself or whatever, you succumb to your fate, which is, and we know loads of people like this, the person who thinks he's the rock star, who takes the drugs, who's drinking, has the attitude, he talks like a rock star, but never made it to be a rock star, but is playing out his fate in this kind of immature sense of it, like that. It's just like, I know so many people who were in bands who aren't in bands anymore, but still think they're in band, and in much better bands than they were ever in. It's so that you can see that in all. You see it a lot in like football stadiums, where people who never became the footballer that they want, but are there. This kind of thing. So there's like, I suppose in that the synchronicity and deja vu is a cousin to it. There's something I find that they're similar in it, but not. But there is a sense. the deja vu is the feeling, right? So the synchronicity is the feeling, because there's many times you can have the coincidence that doesn't, and you go, oh, that's interesting, but doesn't
have really mean that. Yeah.
Doesn't, and even if it does mean that, there's this kind of, it's like when you've done some magic and it's happened and it worked out, and there's a feeling, there's a quality to it, there's a flavour to it where you recognise it. When even if you had done magic for something and the thing happens, but you go, oh no, that just happened. You know, it was kind of a coincidence that happened. There's some sort of quality to it that it seems different to me. So I would say that in that, the synchronicity where it's kind of pointing away, it could be, but not always, a kind of kind of the fate and the destiny type thing, where there's some kind of, I want to say, pointers, but there's so many synchronicities that don't seem to point anywhere. But it could be like your prophecy thing earlier on, where you're saying you don't know it until it's happened. You know, so the synchronicity you've had 2 years ago mightn't come out until, you know, you're 50 or something, and then you go, oh yeah, that's why that day. My biggest synchronicity, and it's not impressive in any way, but it's the one that just blew me absolutely away, and it's like, fuck. I was just walking down the street one day, and I just, for some reason, thought about a guy I went to school with. Hadn't thought about him in 20 years. Doesn't live in the same town as me. He was, you know, a good friend 20 years ago, whatever thing. Turn around the corner, and there he is. Sitting in his car. Well, Tommie. And like, the scientist would once say, oh, you obviously see him driving past or whatever. But he came from the other direction. And there's no way he didn't pass me. And he's just right there. And it was just like, so, holy shit. Like that's mad. And I've had many experiences where I've thought about someone and they've rang and they've and you go, whatever, you know, it's there was something in that, and I've no idea what it was other than it was a revelation of there's something in that, you know, there's something. But I suppose it's the idea of the mystery is it's not to be solved, it's to be lived, you know, that you're not necessarily going to solve them. Do you have any big sinks that are actually impressive rather than think of someone and see them?
I don't know. I'm kind of caught now. I'll have to sit down and think about it.
Well, I suppose one thing while you're thinking would be a sync that you could definitely kind of see that is the fact of how we met. Things like that you didn't realise how entwined our lives would be subsequently become, and how randomly we met, you know, absolutely randomly kind of met, but yet we could not have not met. Given what we did. You know?
Funny. Do people know the story? I know I wrote it in the 40 Servants intro. Mm-hmm. Do people don't know, do they?
I'm not sure. Well, people don't even know what TaSTA stands for, so I mean...
I suppose. So I ran... I was working for them first, and then they made me editor of a website called Drop-D, so Drop-D tuning, like guitar tuning. So it's basically like... it was a website like... What would the English equivalent be? NME, and Americans would be what, Rolling Stone, or that other, I don't remember the really good one. It doesn't matter. So it's a alternative music kind of website. So one day, we had this photographer, and she was writing for us as well. She came to me and she said, oh, there's this cool book about a roadie, it's comic, can I interview him? And I was like, yeah, sounds, yeah, whatever. So Tommy Kelly. And so I read the interview, and I realised the book was about this kind of disgruntled wannabe rock star who ended up being a roadie. And I was like, yeah. Well, I mean, you know, there isn't a single music journalist on the planet who didn't want to be, who hasn't failed at wanting to be a rock star, right? So I was like, all right, well, here's a kindred spirit. And then there was nothing then for a while. And then a mate of mine started up this like Discord, this Slack channel with like his mates. So there were some comic book people in there, and there was like his nerdy guitar, nerdy computery friends, and then there was me basically only because I knew him and I had funny shit to say kind of thing. And lo and behold, there's all these comic nerds in there, and there's Tommy Kelly. I was like, I fucking know you, you know. And then we both started kind of podcasting at the same time. We were doing filming at the same time. We were just always talking to each other, helping each other out kind of stuff with advice and how to do these different things. And then we ended up meeting each other and started this. Like, there's lots of, and there was so many things in there as well when we'd be talking to each other and say, oh yeah, I did that too. Yeah, the same thing happened to me. You'd be talking about growing up it was bizarre. Like
even down to things like piercing our own nipples because we had to. Thing, even stuff like that. Let's just go. That's not a common story.
Yeah. Strange stuff like that. I can't think of it, but that's obviously quite big, Tommie. But I can't. But
that's over a period of time, so it's not like that kind of shock and awe moment of. Oh.
And look, there's big HGA stuff, but people are sick of hearing me talk about that. But there are when they happen, there's stuff that you can't argue with. You know what I mean? It's kind of like one of the episodes we did recently with the ritual, where. Was it Black? It was Black. Black said something through Jason. And I went, yeah, I'm never not believing in magic. Again.
You know, there's the thing. Well, Tommie, everything, whatever. Yeah.
So there's stuff like that where you just get these things happening, and it's just like, I can't. I have to surrender to. There's this something else doing this. It's not me. It's not you. It's not. It's not even like plausible rationality, materialist. Like there is no fucking way that one thing could have happened while I'm paying attention to it. It's there's too many impossible things,
and there's no convincing anyone else of it.
No, there's none. I mean, I made a storm stop one day, and no one would believe me on that. You know what I mean? I was driving home, and the rain was horrible. I thought I'm gonna fucking die in this fucking rain, and I'm so close to home, and I just went, fucking make it stop. And stop raining. And I got home, and I was like, no one is going to believe me. And even if they did believe me, they think I'm mental.
Well, it's the same as mine was the star exploding, and it's like, it was for me. There it was. It 100% happened. No one, I wouldn't believe me. There's no chance I believe something.
Exactly.
No
I wouldn't believe me.
Huge, not like people. Oh, it was a firework. It wasn't a fucking firework. It was a fucking star that exploded for me, just for me to look at. And it was kind of, it's like, I just sit at that for about 5 minutes, going, huh?
There's one recently. I'll give you one from recently, right? You sent me a book. You were sent a book for a review or something, or a review copy was sent to you.
Just Chaos Monk.
Chaos Monk, yeah. Which is a great idea for a book. He probably doesn't listen. It's not very. It's too experiential. The book. That's my problem with the book.
For him, yeah.
Yeah, it's too personal. It's too much about his journey through it, rather than it being a more general thing of how to be a chaos monk. It's more like, well, I did this. Okay, I have no idea who you are. Why should I care or anything?
Yeah.
But
that said, it's a good book. People should read it. It is a good book. It's it has some interesting ideas.
The last 3, 4, 5 sections are really good. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. So I was had this Sophia dream. And I have them from time to time, kind of thing. And so I got this book, and I put it on the Kindle, and you turn the page on the Kindle, It was the front page chapter, front page copyright stuff, chapters, and then I hit the thing again, and then it went straight to Sophia Mass. I went, okay, this is interesting. So I read through that, 3 or 4 pages, and then the book was finished. I went, what the fuck? Tommie sent me a bad book or something. So I looked it up again, and no, the book had like 150 pages. Okay. But this Sophia stuff was like the very, very last. This is what you do on completion of the book. You do this Mass to Sophia, and I went, okay, that's kind of strange. So I went back, opened it again, went back to the first page, did exactly the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4th page, Sophia's Mass is there. And I'm like, man, what the fuck is going on here? Like,
right. Yeah.
So I did it a third time. And then it worked properly, and I went, okay, that's bizarre. She's at me here now. You can't, because it's just like, you know how to turn a page on a Kindle. You just tap it.
Yeah. You've read other books in the Kindle.
It can't rush that far ahead, like twice in a row.
Here's a question then, for you. That would suggest then that that sync had causal, like that it was caused by something rather than being acausal. In that,
no, but okay. Maybe I didn't explain it properly. So the cause and the result, they're the symptoms of the archetype having done something. Okay, so you can say the archetype causes it, but there's a thin line there in the difference. You get me?
Yeah, but he definitely at other times says that it's acausal. It's something I can't get that completely in my head. Even though I did reread that chapter on synchronicity Again,
watch that one that I shared in the Carl Jung channel where he explains it in it.
In his actual book Synchronicity, which I have here, it's scribed, whatever, which is okay. There's a whole section where he tries to work out what synchronicities are by looking at marriage, people's marriages and through astrological means, whatever. There's a whole section of that, and then at the end he kind of goes, "Yeah, that doesn't really tell me anything."
But I needed to fill 50 pages.
Yeah, but definitely, and I'm sure you would agree that the Bernardo Bernard Ketchup's book on Jung, and it's the audiobook's 4 hours. I mean, you'll fly through it. They're not.
Oh, it's a doddle. Yeah, it's great. Oh.
He's really good.
Yeah, we were saying last week anyway. Jung's not that hard to read. He's fine.
No. But there is something about if you're trying to get into Jung, there is something to be said about listening to someone who has already grasped
but it's
it
like
first.
These, what do you call them? Damon Albarn books. Dr. Alban Brand. What the fuck is his name?
Damon Brand.
Damon Brand.
Interesting that you do say Damon Albarn, because people have said that they think it's him. Foolish Fish has worked out how it is, by the way. So,
all right.
I didn't know it.
Publicly?
Is it public? I think it was on. I don't know if he's private messaged me or Discord, so I'm not going to say anything.
Right. They're like those books, Gary and Magic stuff. It's primer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's good to read a primer before you go.
Or as to say it in America, primo.
Balls deep into it. There's something else that. Do you remember that ritual we did a long time ago with Metatron that I'm still annoyed about? One of the answers about what are demons, spirits, aliens?
That's
what are
the
these
wrong
things?
question, that one,
are they all? Are they all the same thing? And he was like, well, that's the wrong question. So Jung says, angels, demons, deities of the world's religious traditions can be interpreted. Oh no, this is Bernardo's thing. This is a quote from one of Bernardo's dissertations. Dissertation, what you do for PhD, isn't it?
Just read the
angels. I don't know. Never had to do one, unfortunately. The angels, demons, and deities of the world's religious traditions can be interpreted according to Jung's metaphysics as discarnate demons, and indeed, as religions throughout history have insisted upon, they can affect our inner lives both positively and negatively, often dramatically, even though their impact on our bodily survivability is likely very limited. Also, as religious tradition insists, they are autonomous agencies with a will, agency, and mental life of their own. So, he fucking figured it out. He's like, no, these things are real. They're in the massive outer psyche, inner psyche, unconscious. They're there, and they have their own.
Tell me if I'm wrong here, because that's the map I have. So you start with whatever, then you have the archetypes, which are the first fundamental things. Then you have this, where all the complexes, demons, angels, humans, all of these things, and then you have the material world, right? So in a sense, they're ideas, but by the time they get here, they're autonomous. In the same way that you can act out a role and it seems to have its own autonomy.
That makes sense, yeah.
So you can be acting out angry father, whatever your role is, the thing is, and it's there. You sometimes you can even see yourself doing it. It's there. It's being played out. That's the thing. So it's the same.
And it's that thing that has kind of, I wouldn't say wrestle control from you, but it's that thing that you're doing. You know?
That's playing it. Yeah, it's there. And it has its own autonomy because it's doing it. It's taken over in a sense.
And so what our kind of challenge then is to see ourselves doing it and to correct our behaviour and to act morally and properly and be good people.
Or to remove it, like say the binding stuff from Magia or the philosophical midwifery is to, either to break that cycle or to realise that it was a false, that's not real in a sense. But coming from the fact that the Jung thing you're saying it is kind of real is a shitty word, an actual thing, to realise that it's exactly like this. When you see a photograph and it's like confusing perspective, and there's something on a wall and you can't really and then you go, oh, it's a cigar hanging out of a wall, and you go, that's it, and you can never not be tricked by that photo again. Because you always see the cigar in the wall from then on. So it's whether a roll or with a shadow, it's that you see it and you go, that's that, and you can't unsee it because you can't be tricked by it ever again. So then you don't act. It loses autonomy because you go, I see you, you bastard. I'm not doing that. So it's that kind of thing.
Fucker.
Yeah, I have you. Or you can choose to indulge it, which is...
Glad we did this, man, because I got to fucking learn a lot more about... Because I thought I had a fairly decent understanding of synchronicity, but it turns out I didn't at all. But, like, now knowing a lot more about it, now it's like, holy fuck, man, how is Carl Jung not a god?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, what Carl Jung got wrong, right? I've never heard Bernardo say that. So
what he really meant was, Peter.
Yeah.
Peter.
Peter Kingsley thinks he's a reincarnation of Carl Jung. Given that he was born, while Carl Jung was alive, that doesn't. Although, who am I to? Time doesn't exist, so maybe it's possible.
Bob Marley. If you got to choose, Peter Kingsley would obviously choose Carl Jung because I'm Carl Jung. I think fucking Crowley was picking
Elvis
Levy,
which also
people.
There's issues with dates there that don't exactly line up.
Bob Marley, I know for a fact died 6 months before me, and I'd take that. That'd be a good one. When did Philip K. Dick die? No, I think I was alive then. Was I?
I don't know. 77 is it? No, I'm not sure.
Oh, that'd be a good one. Yeah. Did he die?
Yeah, the synchronicity. I don't think I fully have it formed because it's kind of. I know
82?
myself.
No, I was born. That's no good.
Well, no, it doesn't matter. You can. That's not how it works. Do whatever you want.
But watch that video. I can send you another one as well. Although the interview isn't nearly as good.
It's because that thing we've talked about before, that when you go to try to explain something, you realise I don't actually know this. There's bits where I'm kind of going, oh, hold on, that there's a gap in my understanding of this that I've skipped, where I can go, yeah, I get all that, and then there's this bit. I think it's around the acausal stuff that while I sort of feel I know what it's about, I know what it's about. There's no cause, and then you go, yeah, but there's a thing. So I have to look into that. What I would suggest for people who want to not get the standard kind of fooling of syncs is don't think everything's a sync. Don't dismiss them either, because there's a thing that happens in therapy. If you look in Wikipedia, there's the recent studies on synchronicity really suggest that they are immensely helpful in a therapy session or in a counselling session, and there's some really good stuff. But the problem is that there's a high percentage of people who are subsequently then asked about it who felt they're not being believed or not being that it's as if it's been dismissed when they bring them up, even though the studies would suggest that both the therapist and the person getting the therapy are benefiting from talking about it. Yeah, so
that's an archetype. That's a skeptical archetype.
Yeah. So
making itself known. That's mental.
That's playing out in that
Holy
kind
fuck.
of thing. Yeah, and also a heightened sense of thinking everything is synchronicus. That is synchronatic. Yeah, brilliant. Well done. Is part of psychosis. So it's an early stage. So when you start thinking everything, that, because it's like, you should endeavour to see everything as a special message from God or whatever.
It's the road to fucking solipsism, like.
So it's like, it's the shitty version is the psychosis, where you think that, and it's like the chosen one thing, that everything is just for you or something like that. There's kind of a thing that you have to get past. But definitely don't discount them. But don't try always you're not going to work out what they are or what they mean. I think the nod from the universe is probably as good as you're going to. It's a good heuristic to just get past it, just to move on, just go right. That's But it's a thing like the numbers everyone has. These three thing. There was an Irish guy I was watching a video about, and he was talking about it, and he says there's an interesting thing that happens with that, is because as the more and more the syncs of that happen, the less and less sync they are, meaningful they are. And so they're sync, you're still getting the syncs, but you kind of go, all right, it's a fucking number plate. Like many times, like on number plates all the time.
God is up there going, I'm fucking winking at you, man. Look at me. This is me. This is all for you. And hey, it's in the license plate.
The thing. Yeah, but so
cancer here.
Yeah. So it's like, it's trying to find the balance of it, and also knowing that you can't judge someone else's synchronicities. That was a big eye opener for me. In that, if someone says black and white cat on a Zoom thing is a sink. It fucking is, and you don't get to say it isn't. That's it. Sometimes people you go that is that yeah. There's no way that's not a sink. But an awful lot of time when it's like listening to someone's dreams, you go, I don't care. yeah. There was a cat and Mars bar. Excellent. But what's next on our agenda for these things?
Don't know. I thought we were going to do two.
I foolishly thought that we wouldn't get half an hour out of synchronicities.
Yeah.
Yeah, 40 minutes, whatever it was.
I don't know.
Are you here next week or yeah?
No, I'm not actually. So yeah, we don't have to worry about it.
Well, we still have to know for next time. So answer to the postcard. What would you'd like us to pretend we know what we're talking about? Well, you were talking about maybe doing the angels and demons.
Angels, demons, and saints.
Saints, yeah.
And according to Carl Jung, they're all, this.
So we've already done that. Yeah, they're just complexes from the.
That's not enough, though. No. You need to do.
See, the saints are an interesting one in that because they're both human and not archetypical, but whatever.
Yeah.
Ethereal versions of them.
I presume saints just have this power because we've just kind of all agreed, not all of us, obviously, but people who are into it have just all agreed. Yeah, that's Saint Anthony. He finds shit.
Well, the interesting,
like we've given that.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what like Saint Cyprian, the cool Saint Cyprian, not the church father Cyprian, with the demons and all that stuff didn't exist. He's an amalgamation of a number of other people, but yet clearly does because so many people work with him, or have an interaction with him. But so he does. So that's a very interesting one. That kind of he's like the chaos magic saint, but. That I don't mean that in a dismissive sense. Oh, we just believe he is, so therefore he is. There's as much corporeal Saint Cyprian, as there is for Ganesha. Say, is that how Ganesha started too? Who knows? Anyway, we'll discuss this at length next time.
Bye, everyone.
Right, see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.